y'all, I'm Elisa, the Scrappy Wife behind ScrappyWife.com, and today I am working in my memory planner for the week of January 10th through the 16th. I have a whole lot of photos picked out, some scrapbook paper. We are just going to dive right in. As always, I will link everything that I end up using down below so you can check out those products. Otherwise, I'll put you guys on fast forward. Let's go. So I have been getting a lot of questions recently about the difference between a memory planner and a scrapbook. And they do have a lot of similarities. You're going to find pictures in both. You're going to find stories in both. You can use a lot of the same supplies in both of them. The difference is that in a memory planner, it is much easier to document things in a chronological fashion. Because a memory planner already has the dates at the top and you're going week by week, it's really easy to keep your pictures in chronological order. And when I was a scrapbooker and doing 12 by 12 layouts, I preferred to document chronologically. And something I always had issues with was deciding what events to document because I'm someone that takes a lot of pictures. And so when I would be doing a scrapbook page, I just didn't know quite what I wanted to document. And for me, the memory planning helps me to get to document kind of the ins and outs. So it's not always like the super special events, which is what I kind of felt like scrapbooking was for, you know, birthdays and anniversaries and things like that. But this helps me tell the ins and outs of our everyday lives. And I think that that is something I'm going to want to look back on and reflect on. And it's something I really enjoy documenting. So I was really happy to find memory planning because I think it really suits my personality, my style of memory keeping, and it works really well for me. To me, it's also faster than scrapbooking. I can get a whole week done in a 30-minute session, and I feel really good about having those stories documented. You can see that I have this one kind of grid plaid paper that I'm wanting to use to cover the bottom 2/3 of the boxes. And I only had one piece of this paper, and so I'm having to kind of piecemeal this end over here. I'm not really worried about it because there's going to be a lot of photos over here in the end, but I don't want to break the pattern. So I'm using the last few pieces that I have to make sure that I can kind of get this all in the right pattern and have it fill up all of these boxes. So I'm piecing it together, trying to make it work, and then I will just cut it down using my paper trimmer. The paper trimmer I have out now is actually from Cricut that I got as a part of an accessory pack. I just didn't feel like pulling out my huge paper trimmer, and this one works pretty well too. So trimming that down, adhering both of these pages so that they take up the full bottom 2 boxes of the spread, and then I will start working with some of the pictures. When I am working on my memory planner layouts, I always start from the largest pieces down to the smaller pieces. So sometimes that means starting with the pictures, sometimes that means, in this case, starting with the background, and sometimes it means stenciling or doing something different, but it's always easiest to work from big to small. So I start placing my pictures. Generally, I place them near the day that they actually happen. I kind of space them out. And then you'll see that I kind of change my mind as the layout kind of comes together to accommodate journaling. Putting in journaling in my memory spreads is something that's really important to me on most weeks, and so I want to be able to include as much as possible. As I start to mat my photos, I'm using this kind of ombre paper that I thought would be really cute. I'm just going to put all the photos on here and then trim them out. As I start to mat them, I realize that if I have a bunch of photos up in that white section at the top, then I'm going to take up all of my journaling area. And so as I start to place these back on the page, I actually put them down in a certain space, but then I end up moving them all so they're all located kind of on the grid that is on the bottom. So over here on the left, I have a cluster of pictures of our friends and I. My husband went to the University of Georgia and is a huge Georgia fan, and all his friends went to Georgia, and we all kind of watched the national championship game on that Monday together from afar, if that makes sense. So everyone was watching in their homes, but we were all kind of texting, and then we all took selfies when Georgia won, and it was a super exciting night, and I think my husband was just beyond happy. So I wanted to include all of our little selfies, and then otherwise it was a pretty normal week. I got to have brunch with some friends, took my little girl for her first orthodontist consult, which is going to be, you know, a big thing in our lives, I think, for the next few years. And this is where I start kind of realizing, you know what, I'm going to shift all of these photos down so that I have a little bit more room to write. And this is something I haven't really done before, but all of the journaling will be included in that top row of boxes. And I'm even going to shift this picture over to the side just so that they're all consolidated together and I can get a lot of words in that particular area, and then the decoration will be underneath. Speaking of decoration, we are unapologetically going for floral mania here. So these are Maggie Holmes puffy stickers. I love Maggie Holmes. I love almost every line that she's ever created. They are just so beautiful. And I figured even though it's winter, I can still have bright colors and I can still have flowers because it was a bright and happy week. So you don't necessarily have to stick seasonal just because it's in your memory planner or just because it's in your planner in general. I wanted to do bright colors, and so I kind of just went with it. And that's one of the other things I love about memory planning. Because a week tends to encompass so many different events, I don't feel like I have to tailor the supplies to a specific theme. In general, I just use supplies that I find beautiful and that I'm excited to use. Whether or not they go with the pictures, that doesn't really bother me. So I just grab for what's in my stash and what I am loving at that moment. I also have a tendency to use a lot of words and phrases. To me, that really helps tell the story. I find words very inspirational, so it's fitting for my style. I just want to encourage you as you're trying memory planning, which is new for a lot of people, and I know a bunch of my subscribers were going to give it a try for the first year. Don't be afraid to just embrace your own style. Like, go with what is giving you joy, what is getting your stories down on paper, what's making you happy and inspiring you to kind of keep going through this process. It is really satisfying to see a memory planner come together after you have done a few months. You're really going to be super pleased that you've had those months documented. And it's fun to work with, and it's fun to use a lot of different supplies in what I consider to be a pretty easy project. I would love to hear in the comments below if you are a memory keeper, if you scrapbook or you document your memories in different ways, do you prefer to stick with themes? Do you like it to be seasonal? Do you like the decorations to match what is happening in the pictures? Let me know. I tend to not go that way. I tend to print all my pictures in color, so I just kind of go with whatever is, whatever is inspiring me that particular day. So, but I'd love to hear, are you a theme type person, or do you just go with the flow, whatever is kind of giving you a pickup that day? All right, once I finish the puffy stickers, I'm, putting a ton on because that's what I like to do. I'm actually going to grab these other word phrases from the stamp market that'll allow me to put just a few more phrases in on this paper. And then the spread is really coming together. So few more words and phrases. The last thing that I do is add in lines at the top. So like I said, all my journaling will be consolidated to the top. It gives me a lot of room to write, and it's probably way more than I used to write on a typical scrapbooking spread. So I think I'm actually getting more stories down on paper this particular way. So getting those, I'll add my lines, I'll add some journaling off of the page, and then I'll come back with just a few more touches in the end. I did end up having a few random marks on this paper, and that was because I was using some ink on the reverse side of this paper that got a little bit messy and got on this one. So after I do the lines, I'm going to grab some more puff stickers and use them to try to cover up some of the extra marks that are on the paper that make it look messy, because I feel like stickers can cover a whole variety of messes. So I'm just embracing it, putting some bows on the top and then adding some more to the side, so just it feels like it is meant to be. All right, journaling off camera, bringing it back. I have a few white spaces that I'll fill in, but otherwise this memory planner spread is done. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider hitting that subscribe button as well as the bell notification button. I will link to the supplies that I am using down below, so you can be sure to check those out. I want to give a huge shout out to my Patreon members. Thank you so much for all of your support. If you want to find out more about Patreon and some of the extra perks that you can receive as a Patreon member, then make sure to click the link in the description box below. All right, I hope that you have a fabulous day, and as always, keep it creative.